I knew these ridiculous benches would come in useful one day. But whoever designed benches on the basis that you can't sit on them for 6 months of the year, either because they're wet, or because they're cold, or because a combination of both. Well, first of all, can I thank everyone very much for coming along, because we're here to support what was described at this meeting with health ministers but 2 weeks ago as the most popular health service facility in Birmingham. I have to say that the person who said it was one of the health service bosses in Birmingham, and she said it through gritted teeth, but that's an acknowledgement of the tremendous support that there's been for our much loved, much used walk-in centre. The centre speaks for itself, but the community have come together in support of the centre. And what's remarkable about it, only yesterday I was meeting with the guy who is very impressive, who's the chair of the local Erdington Health Centre practice. There's 10 practices that have come together. They in turn are working with an organisation called Badger, which is a not-for-profit organisation. They came together back 5 years ago to set up the walk-in centre, and the reason that they did that was this was good GPs recognising that what we needed in Erdington was something new and special. And that new and special centre was the walk-in centre, because what it provides is 7 days a week from 8 in the morning until 8 in the evening, bank holidays as well, high quality access to health care at the time of need. And when we had the delegation to health ministers, this followed my putting the Secretary of State for Health on the spot in the House of Commons, asking him would he receive a delegation. He agreed that health ministers would. We took down 3 users of the health centre. Peter and Michael in particular told very powerful stories. Peter, on the one hand, who was shopping in Erdington High Street, suddenly he felt a pain up his left side. Then he collapsed with a heart attack. What the hospital subsequently said is he would have died without that instant access to the walk-in centre. Michael, on the other hand, who had 2 young daughters, who on a Sunday, he couldn't get hold of his GP, but on a Sunday, suddenly they were taken very seriously ill. He was panic-struck as to what he should do. What he did was to get his daughters into the car, down to the walk-in centre. The walk-in centre immediately treated them, diagnosed what the problem was, stabilised the 2 young girls. They were rushed to hospital, and I'm very pleased to say they're 2 of the nicest young girls you could ever want to meet now. Now, you could go on telling stories like that indefinitely. I'm looking here at a whole number of people that I know have used the walk-in centre. On one occasion, I used the walk-in centre myself. And thank God it was there just when you felt a bit down and you needed a bit of treatment. You could go in. There was a warm, welcoming atmosphere. You were dealt with quickly. The staff are brilliant. The doctors are brilliant. It's a service that we can be proud of. You might then ask, if all of that is true, why is it under threat? And I'll tell you why it's under threat. Despite what was said before the general election by the Tories in opposition about no more top-down reorganisations of the National Health Service, what are we seeing? A top-down reorganisation of the National Health Service. Health Service bosses in Birmingham have got to save £70 million. As a result, there's a review of walk-in centres all over the country since the general election. 50 walk-in centres have closed, but today we send this message. If there's one walk-in centre that will not close, it will be Erdington High Street. Why? Why? Because the community have mobilised in its support, and I pay tribute to the widespread support that we've had across this community. Thousands of people who've either written to ministers or signed the petition, mobilised in support of the walk-in centre. And when we had the meeting with health ministers, the health minister himself, Dan Poulter, said to the health service bosses here, you've not listened to the people of Birmingham. I expect you to do that at the next stages. But my message to government is they too need to listen to the people of Erdington. Because if the people of Erdington are sending this unmistakable message, when the decision comes to be made, and it will be made within the next 3 months, we will not have the first casualty of health service reorganisation, the Erdington Walk In Centre. Now let me just say this in conclusion. My frank assessment, I think there's a major problem across the health service. Yesterday, I was talking to GPs here about their concerns about what will happen at the next stages in terms of fragmentation and privatisation of the National Health Service. I think there's a major problem. But on Erdington Walk In Centre and our other centre in King's Standing, but the one here in this High Street, this battle is eminently winnable. Why? Because the case for it is overwhelming and because the community is on its side. My history tells me that you do not win battles unless local people, ordinary people, speak out in their thousands. That's what you've done thus far. That's what you've done today. That's what you've done at the next stages. We will save Erdington High Street's Walk In Centre. Thank you all very much for coming along.